Hi, good morning everyone. This is Mr. Shaikh, teacher, St. Joseph English Medium High School, Vijaypur. Today we are going to learn about the prose. There is a girl by the tracks. Before going to that one, let us see about the author there. This girl by the track, written by Mr. Devan Kanal. Devan Kanal is a writer in English. He writes short stories in English to journals and magazines. The given extract is a terrible accident and nobody dared to go where youngsters did. This prose is given under the unit compassion. If you want to be happy and others to be happy, practice compassion. Compassion is a divine quality and it is a virtue. This is one of the lessons about compassion. Now, before going to the lesson, let us study the picture. Some of the people are looking at the accident with an expression of shock and anxiety. If you would have been at the place shown in the picture, how would you have reacted? And you people have to begin with, I would have. What would you have done if you would have seen this accident? What will be your reaction towards this one? If you are in that place, what would you have done there? It is that I would have taken her to my nearby hospital, or I would have called an ambulance or any vehicle available at that time to take her to the hospital, or I would have to know first aid. I should do first aid to her and then take her to the hospital for further treatment. And after that one, what you have to do is you have to share your reactions with your friends. Accidents nowadays are very common. To avoid, we should take care of the following traffic rules. All the time, the nearby people should help the victims and inform to the concerned authority like police, traffic police, etc. But the problem here is some of them are thinking that if we will help them, then we will be in problem. Either police will interrogate us or the police is going to take us to the police station or we have to go through the courts there. People are worried about the courts, about the police. They don't want to involve such type of things there. That's why they wanted to live far away from these places there. So these are the things. But don't worry. Nowadays, the government has set a rules. Whenever the accident will happen there, you take that victim to the hospital there. Neither the police will ask you, nor they are going to interrogate you. The rule is that even if the police wanted to ask you there, or they wanted to ask about that information about that victim there, then they have to take your permission. If you will say no, they are not going to ask you. So these are the things. Don't worry if any accident will happen around you, then what you have to do is you have to take the victim. That is the best way. Now, introduction of the lesson. There is a girl by the tracks. It is a short story about a young woman named Roma Talreja. One day in Mumbai, Roma falls off a running local train. In a train speeding in the opposite direction, Baleshwar Mishra, a passenger, sees the incident. He runs to her rescue, saves her, and takes her to the hospital. Later, when asked why he had risked his life to save Roma's, Baleshwar said he had felt it was Roma who need help on that day. Tomorrow it could be him or anyone else. That's why he helped her. Now let us see from as the Mumbai suburban train it is moving. The timing here it has been given that 20 seconds 6 is to 32 p.m. and the commuters are moving like the swarm of the bees or out into it's a 12 packed coaches. And here it is a regular scene because here in India, most of the populated metropolis, this area is much more populated. It is a metropolis. Having just managed to squeeze herself into ladies' compartment, 21-year-old call center executive Roma Talreja to settle into a corner near the door, the train hurtled ahead and Roma jammed between other woman was trying to find some space to stand safely on when she got pushed and she lost her tenuous foothold and panicked. Now, let us see the meaning here. The meaning of suburban. Now, the meaning of suburban here is of a place outside a city because number of people are traveling in Mumbai from one place to another place in search of the job there. And the meaning of commuter here, one who travels to work from place daily there. And the swarm here is referred for rush because that this one is packed, jam packed with the people there in Mumbai. And here the meaning of hurtle means move fast. And the meaning of tenuous is weak or shaky. And the meaning of panic is suddenly feel frightened. Now, when Roma lost her foothold and she panicked, her hand reached for the steel railing above. But finding only air, Roma was thrown out of the coach. The clattering roar of the train muffled the thud of her fall to the ground. More than a meter below, she was knocked senseless. Standing near the door of another train speeding in the opposite direction. 20-year-old Baleshwar Mishra could not believe what he had just seen, a young woman in a black salwar kameez lying next to the tracks. Meanwhile, gasps and screams emanated from the compartment. There is a girl by the tracks, the voices cried. Impulsively, Baleshwar went and grabbed the train's red emergency chain and pulled it down frantically. The train screeched, slowing down. He then survived the compartment full of weary faces. Let's go and help her, he shouted. But nobody volunteered after of getting involved of being inconvenienced, perhaps. Now, the meaning of clattering is making a loud sound, and muffled means silenced. Thud means low sound. Gasp, a deep breath taken when surprised. Emanate, come from. Impulsively, without any thinking. Frantically, with no hope. Weary means worried. Now, here, before going to that one, the next paragraph, we will see that about Roma. Roma, she is 21 years old graduate from Maharashtra and she is working in call center. And Baleshwar Mishra, he is 20 years old. He is a high school dropout. He is from Uttar Pradesh, UP, and he is unemployed. And apart from that one, he came to Bombay in search of the job there, but he didn't get it. And one more character here is Dinesh Talreja. Dinesh Talreja is a marketing job. He is having a marketing job there and he is doing his job in Ulhasnagar. Now, when Baleshwar Mishra, he grabbed the emergency train and pulled it and the train stopped there. At that time, he saw that there is a girl, he asked that there is a girl on the track, but nobody wanted to help her. They looked at each other's faces and at last, his heart hammering his chest, Baleshwar showed himself to the door and he jumped off the still moving train. As he landed on the ground, a burst of pain shot up his ankle, but there was no real damage. He got up to find part on his old rubber slippers, sole torn off as a result of his fall, but Baleshwar started to sprint back between the tracks as his train picked up speed again and disappeared. Now, show. The meaning of show here in this paragraph is push roughly. And the meaning of sprint means run very fast. Sprawled, lie stretched. Gash means a deep cut. Baleshwar was Now he ran away toward the girl where she has fallen there. And when he ran away, at that time again, the train picked up the speed and it disappeared. Baleshwar was so far away from Roma, he could not see her. I hope I am not too late, he thought, gasping for breath. After running for several minutes, he found her sprawled by the side of the tracks. बहन जी, आप ठीक हैं? It means that, sister, are you okay? He asked. But there was no response and no help in sight. They were alone somewhere between two stations 5 kilometers apart in Thane district, which borders Mumbai. Baleshwar could see blood flowing out of the gash behind the young woman's head. Saying a silent prayer, he lifted the 5'2", means Roma Talreja is 5'2" tall and 50 kilo. Roma is gingerly and made his way across the tracks, looking out for trains and searching for a way out. He crossed through some shrubbery and followed the direction of the sounds until he found the road. My sister is injured, he implored motorist who drove by. Please help me take her to a hospital, but no one stopped. That morning, on December 10, 2010, a Friday, Roma Talreja arrived at the call center bright and early. The BCom graduate from Pune had been working there for 2 years, loving her job, talking and connecting the customers, and making new friends there. After work, she went to the cafeteria where she and her friends joked, laughed, and made plans for the weekend, then heading alone. After her shift, Roma was looking forward to having supper with her parents and brothers and a long phone chat with her fiancé Vijay. Now, the meaning of gingerly. Gingerly means nervously. Implore. Implore means request. Fiancé. Fiancé means the man that a woman is engaged to. Here, Roma Telreja has been engaged with her fiancé. Baleshwar Mishra has a different story. The lanky youngster from Mirzapur, UP, is an unemployed high school dropout who would have recently come to Mumbai, living with his two older brothers. His job hunt had proved fruitless. Now he was tending water and had resigned himself to the fact that he was running out of options. He had spent his day with a friend. He grabbed his lunch and watched a movie. As Baleshwar boarded the train home, he pondered over his future, but all he could now think of was saving a stranger's life. Now, in this paragraph, the meaning of lanky means tall and thin, because Baleshwar Mishra is tall and he is also a thin. The meaning of trending water means making no progress. Now, here, when he is asking for the help, number of people means innumerable motorists drove by, some even slowing down to see the young man struggling to hold the blood-covered woman in his arms. Just when he had begun to lose hope, a tempo truck driver pulled over and its driver, a middle-aged man who spoke Gujarati, stepped out. Help me, Baleshwar pleaded, and the man helped. Baleshwar lay Roma down in the back of his truck. Baleshwar was quickly telling the driver what had happened when a traffic policeman arrived. Take the girl to Airoli, suggested the cop. There is a hospital there, but Baleshwar disagreed. Airoli was at least 10 kilometers away. There is a closer place I know of, said Baleshwar. 10 minutes later, they arrived at a small hospital where nurses helped to take the young women in, but as the facility lacked personnel and equipment, the on duty physician was not able to do more than give basic first aid. He advised that she be to a nearby hospital. Baleshwar and the driver had no choice but to move her back into the truck. When the vehicle lurched forward, Roma stared and her eyes fluttered open. What's your name? Asked Baleshwar, who was with her in the back of the truck. Now, here in this paragraph, personal is referred for the staff of the hospital there. Lurched here means move unsteadily. Fluttered, the meaning of fluttered here is opened slightly. Now, Roma, however, she managed to grind up. Whom can I call? Asked Baleshwar. He asked quickly, fearing that she would black out once more. Means she is going to become unconscious once again. Before she could become unconscious, he has to ask that to whom he has to call. At the time, Roma replied, my brother Dinesh. She said, slowly giving him Dinesh's cell phone number. Baleshwar, he memorized it and watched as Roma's eyes soon lost focus and rolled back into the darkness. Chacha. Here, Chacha, he is referring to the truck driver there. Chacha, can I borrow your mobile? Baleshwar asked and the driver passed him his phone. Dinesh Talreja, brother of Roma, was wrapping up his day at his marketing job at a retail outlet in Ulhasnagar. When his phone rang from a number he did not recognize, Baleshwar, he asked, Dinesh Bhai. A young voice asked, your sister has fallen off a train and we are taking her to Divine Hospital in Ghansoli. I am on the way, said Dinesh, rushing towards his motorcycle. Roma arrived at Divine Specialty Hospital and Research Center minutes later. Dr. Anil Agarwal, the medical director, there seeing the extent of Roma's injuries, admitted her immediately to the ICU without penny paperwork. Here, to grind out. The meaning of to grind out is to say something with some effort there. Because Roma is unconscious. When she regained her consciousness at the time, Baleshwar wanted to ask her quickly because once again she should not be unconscious. That's why Roma took the effort in speaking there. Blackout. The meaning of blackout is to become unconscious there. Wrap up. Here, wrap up has been referred for close the day's business. When Roma's brother Dinesh Talreja, when he has been called on the phone at that time, he is closing down the day's business and he is returning back to the house there. Outlet is a shop here. Now, paragraph number 16. He asked Baleshwar to hang around. He here is referred for Dinesh Talreja. Dinesh Talreja asked Baleshwar to hang around until Roma's family arrived. That's when they noticed that the driver, having done all he could, had slipped away with his truck. Oh, I could not thank him, Baleshwar thought, because after helping that one, the truck driver, the old Gujarati man, he went away. Roma was still unconscious, but her x-ray showed that although the injuries looked severe, all she needed were deep wound sutters. There would be no lasting damage. But Dr. Agarwal believes she could have bled to death had nobody helped her. When she finally opened her eyes that night, her brother and fiancé were by her side. She could barely speak, just nodded and fell asleep again. The reason here is because she has been given the medicines and her head has been injured there. Due to the injury, she is in unconscious. When Baleshwar came to meet her next morning, Roma was still partly sedated. On his way, Baleshwar had even revisited the spot where Roma had fallen looking for her belongings because Dinesh had told him that her cell phone and handbag were missing. Not far from the spot, a railway employee assured Baleshwar that some of Roma's belongings had been found. Here, the meaning of hang around in this paragraph is to wait. Suture means a stitch that is used to sew the wound together because Roma has been injured there and the stitches were there on her head. Now, paragraph number 19. Baleshwar asked Roma, "How are you feeling?" Roma replied, "I am okay," she whispered there. In a few days, Roma made a full recovery. I can't imagine what would have happened if Baleshwar had not been there, she says, amazed to learn of the manner in which he had been rescued. I think it's astonishing that a stranger would jump off a train and risk his life for me. I can never repay Baleshwar. I am new to Mumbai, but I have noticed that Baleshwar told he was new to Mumbai there, but he noticed that the people were afraid, says Baleshwar, who is still looking for a job. They fear getting trapped in courts or with the police. So, why did he do it? She needed help. Baleshwar put it simply, that day it was Roma. Tomorrow it could be you or me, by the tracks, bleeding and alone. Here, the meaning of barely speak in this paragraph is able to speak. Partly sedated means half awake due to the drugs. Now, the brief summary of this lesson, There is a Girl by the Tracks. This lesson tells us about the brave act done by Baleshwar Mishra. Roma Talreja, a 21-year-old, worked as a call center executive in Mumbai. She was a BCom graduate from Pune, working since 2 years in Mumbai, loving her job, talking and connecting to customers and making new friends. On December 10, 2010, she went to the cafeteria after work, shared jokes with her friends, laughed and made plans for the weekend. Then she headed home looking forward to a meal with her parents and a chat with her fiancé Vijay. Baleshwar Mishra, he was a 20-year-old high school dropout and he came from Mirzapur, which is there in Uttar Pradesh, to Mumbai in search of a job. He lived with his brother. He had spent the day with his friend. He grabbed his lunch and he watched a movie and he was headed home. He was in search of the job there. Still, he didn't get that job. Roma boarded the train and she was into the ladies' compartment. The timing is 6 is to 32 p.m. in a Mumbai suburban electric train. She stood near the door of the compartment and she was trying to find out some space to stand. She got pushed and later on she lost her tenacious hold and was thrown out of the coach. She fell with a thud. The clattering roar of a train muffled the sound in the train that ran from the opposite direction. Baleshwar Mishra saw her fall off the train. He pulled the red emergency chain. When the train slowed down, he jumped off all the passengers. Expressed shock and surprise, but none volunteered to help. Baleshwar sprinted down a few meters to find Roma in a black salwar kameez, sprawled near the tracks. He picked her up all of 5 feet 2 inches and 50 kilos carefully. crossed the track, and reached the main road where he implored the motorist to stop and help him to carry to the hospital. But nobody is helping him. Some of them are coming nearer to it. They wanted to see what has happened, but nobody came nearer to him for the help. At last, a Gujarati speaking middle aged man, he stopped his tempo. He is a tempo truck driver, and he says this is my sister. She has been got injured, so she need the help there. The tempo truck driver helped him, and Baleshwar placed Roma at its rear, means at the backside of the truck. Meanwhile, a cop he advised him to take her to the Airoli. But Baleshwar disagreed because Airoli was at least 10 kilometers away. So Baleshwar took her to a nearby hospital. Baleshwar knew after the on-duty physician could only administer and mere first only he could administer, but the doctor he gave him only first aid because lot of equipments are not there where Roma could be diagnosed there, and he advised him to take to the multi-specialty hospital there, and he took Roma to the Divine Multi-Specialty Hospital and Research Center in Consoli. While going there, at that time, Roma, she opened her eyes and for only for a few minutes there. Baleshwar asked, Behenji, you want to call anyone else? At that time, Roma replied, my brother. Give me the phone number. She gave her the phone number before she could become unconscious there. And at last, he asked, Chacha, will you give me your mobile? I wanted to call her brother there. Anyhow, when Roma spoke to him, at that time, when she told him about the phone number there, he just remembered and he called back to Dinesh Talreja. Dinesh Talreja, Roma's brother, he is a marketing executive there. And he picked up the phone there and he told him that your sister has been injured and I am taking her to the hospital there. She has fallen from the train. And he told, I am on the way. I am packing it up. I will be back there. You stay there only. So, he called Roma's brother and he informed her. After dropping her at the hospital, the tempo truck driver left Baleshwar and he went away. And Baleshwar, he was searching for him. Even I did not thank him. He was feeling there. At last, Baleshwar stayed in the hospital. Her brother arrived. Dr. Anil Agarwal, the medical director of the hospital, admitted her immediately. Even he did not get the paper signed there. And they took her into the X-ray room there. They took the X-ray. They cleaned up the deep gash in her head. And with few setters, they stitched that injury there. And the X-ray did not reveal severe injuries and no lasting damage. They told that Roma is out of the danger there. Next morning, when Baleshwar Mishra, again when he arrived at the hospital there, at that time, Roma, she was in unconscious because of the drugs which had been given to her by the doctor there. And Roma's brother informed Baleshwar Mishra that Roma's purse as well as her mobile has been fallen there only where she has met with the accident there. And Baleshwar Mishra once again went to that place there and he was searching for the belongings of Roma there. But luckily a railway employee had found the belonging and he kept them safe. And he told him that we have already kept it safe there. Baleshwar Mishra collected her belongings and he came back and gave it to Roma there. Roma was grateful to Baleshwar for saving her. After Roma recovered fully, Baleshwar told her he was surprised to see the people in Mumbai, why they are afraid of helping others there. And later he comes to know about the fear of those people there. People here in Mumbai, they are feared that if they will help such type of people there, then they will be trapped either in the courts or with the police there. He told Roma. Roma asked, why you have helped me? You are a stranger to me, but then also you have helped me. He told Roma that he had helped her since it could have been him or someone else in the same situation.